How AI is changing product discovery and what it shouldn't replace. Frequent question I've been getting from my clients lately is some version of how should my team actually be using AI? It's asked with a mix of curiosity, pressure, and a real fear of falling behind. It comes in all shapes and sizes. The VP of product who admits he can't tell if his team is truly learning or just generating more stuff, and is worried that all this stuff won't actually move the needle for the business, and he knows better than just try it. The empowered product team that feels guilty that AI can write a user flow faster than they can think it through. It's constantly wondering how they can make it a bigger difference. The founder who keeps getting sent beautiful prototypes that still don't answer the real questions or solve actual business problems. AI has given product teams more velocity than ever. So why does it all feel less grounded? That's the question I'll answer in this letter. I'll share why this is happening, the risk it introduces, and how to win in the age of AI. I think it kind of answers the question is answered in this introduction. The problem is that you're not grounding things and you're not working things through, and you're handing off a lot of the responsibility to the AI. I think if you don't do the first draft, if you don't do the research, if you don't take notes, you're at every step of the way, you're handing off responsibility to a machine. And that has to be a conscious, very conscious decision to do that in every instance. Because otherwise you're handing off a lot of responsibility and control to the AI without getting anything back that might be useful. It can be useful, but it is a statistical machine that is going to produce a statistical output based on what you input. So the more control you take over that, the better it is. And I haven't seen any system, any scaffolding that removes that random variability and makes it a more consistent experience. So I think be careful is probably the answer. But let's go through the article. For most of my career, the constraints around discovery and delivery set boundaries for us. You couldn't generate 50 ideas in a minute or prompt an AI to create an incredible user experience in moments. You had to wrestle with the work. Prototypes required real thought. Sure, they were a much better and cheaper way to test than building the product itself, but it took time and resources. You simply couldn't build things immediately. That was the constraint, and it shaped how we thought. Now everything has changed. My clients tell me their designers can spin up 3 different directions before lunch. Engineers use AI to scaffold entire solutions in hours. Product managers feel like they're drowning in possibilities. What was once scarce is now abundant, and this abundance is making it even more important for product leadership and teams to think deeply. Before, thinking was built in because the limitations demanded it. We don't have that luxury anymore. The best companies are using this abundance to their advantage. Ignoring it isn't the answer, but neither is running wild with it. We need to learn how to use it well, and that means strong product thinking is more critical than ever. Because when everything becomes easy to make, it becomes much harder to know what matters. No, and I think that is correct. I think we kind of have to, but I've seen this myself. I was in a project that I didn't feel very inspired to be honest, to do. I didn't think it was fun. I wasn't feeling at all enthusiastic about it. So I started the project by just inputting the brief into the computer, and it spat out a lot of design artifacts and things. And I mean, in the beginning, I could use those artifacts to just simply not do the work, to feel like I was doing the work, but I was more just going through the motions of reading what the AI spat out. And it was not until a couple of weeks later that I realized that, I actually have to go back and look at, unfortunately, I had recorded the interviews. So I went back to the interviews and I wrote down by hand everything that was said in those interviews. And I did my analysis as I usually do. And I was able to come up with some actual useful solutions. So just thinking things through and not taking shortcuts, not just taking the transcript from the interview, feeding it to an AI, and then getting some analysis out. That's not going to do the trick. You need to do it yourself, and then you can cross-references by using the sort of quicker AI-driven flow. But I think you need to think before you do that, just to get a frame of reference. If nothing else, if you just run off and you do it, it doesn't work like that. Teams stop sitting with the problems long enough to understand it. There's always another prompt to try, and prototyping is more fun than thinking to truly understand users, the business, and the market. Yeah, it is fun. It's like a slot machine. It becomes this dopamine hit. You enter a prompt and you get something out of it, and you see if it works, and it's really nice. Is it helpful? Sometimes, not always. Adrift away from real customers. Leaders confess, we've been talking to them less. The AI summaries feel close enough, but they're not. You lose the tiny human detail that sharpened product intuition. You miss the chance to see that moment when something clicks or doesn't in a user's eyes. I think synthetic users is one of the dumbest things. It doesn't do anything. It gives you the feeling of doing work, but it doesn't help at all. If you can get insights from products like that, from synthetic users, you have a very shallow understanding of your product. And yeah, I think you need to refocus. The breakdown of clarity. Constraints used to bring clarity. They force teams to prioritize and make trade-offs. Without them, the path looks wide open, but decision-making gets fuzzier. The team that thrives in the new era are the ones who find ways to create focus anyway. These losses doesn't happen at once, but over time. They quietly pull teams away from the hard and important work of building something that matters to the business and customers. How the best product teams use AI differently. Not every team is drifting. The technology is completely changing the game, not just what we build, but how we build it. The best teams are making deliberate choices. They use AI with intention, stay close to their customers, and protect that thinking that makes great products possible. Here's what they're doing differently. Don't let AI set the agenda. Strong product teams begin with strategy and problems to solve. They resist the temptation to jump straight to solution, even when the tools make it easy. They move quickly, but pause to learn. They build, experiment, and take time to assess the product cycle hasn't changed. These teams are just running it faster and delivering values sooner. They treat AI-generated prototypes the way we used to treat user prototypes. This one might sound obvious, but I've come to learn that it's not, so I'm calling it out. A prototype is still a way to test product risk. Faster and cheaper doesn't always mean better. They talk to more real users, not fewer. AI has created more space by removing lower value work. The best teams have used that space to deepen their understanding of customers. These practices don't happen by accident. They reflect deliberate choices made by product leaders and product teams who understand what matters most, especially now. I think this is really good. We should talk more to users. We should make sure that we have a very good understanding of the problems that we're trying to solve and for whom we're trying to solve it. I think that's a great take. What this means for product leaders today. When clients ask me how their teams should use AI, they are really asking how they should lead in a moment when the speed is no longer scarce. But clarity is in an age where the expectations of that product can and shouldn't do are not only getting higher. Clarity is in an age where expectations of what product can and should. So basically what she's saying, I don't know why I can't read this sentence, is that you need to get clarity. And yeah, I can't read this. That's weird. It's no longer enough to be the leader who pushes for velocity. The strategy was already, and this is interesting because that's something that I've heard a lot, like just be faster. That might change with this. Um, it's not a good idea to push a lot of features and be very fast if it doesn't do anything for the customers. I think the clearest example of this is teams that start building things without having a great idea of what it is they're trying to build. I'm not advocating for waterfall of defining every product feature. I'm just talking about getting a general sense of what the product does and how it will look so that you can solve the technical issues inside of that boundary. Um, so yeah, but speed isn't enough. So taking it slower isn't enough. Giving your team direction, setting the focus, and coaching your team. That's what you should do as a product leader. If we are talking about product over a cup of coffee, here's what I'd share before anything else. For all the talk about AI and how it's changing the game, and it is, the real lever isn't just speed or automation, it's what makes speed possible. It's what speed makes possible. Deeper thinking, stronger teams, and more space to lead with intention. That's why this is such an exciting time for me as a coach. We're shaping now the blah, blah, blah. Okay, good. I think that's great. I think the main takeaway from this is just use whatever time you can get from automating away tasks to talk to more users and doing those really high value tasks. I would add, like, take notes by yourself, because that is the dumbest trap that I've fallen into in the last couple of years, is transcribing meeting notes automatically and then feeding that into an LLM. If you do take notes, you're going to learn so much more from these interactions. Like, writing by hand is fantastic for understanding someone. If you watched this far into the video, it would really help me if you would subscribe to the channel or give the video a like. It's really helpful and it gives me sort of an indication of where I need to go with the channel.